Culture and identity reveals to a deeper extent an individual's attitudes, ideas, and values. To a full extent, powerful texts challenge and affirms our beliefs of identity and culture. Rachel Perkins' 2001 musical tragedy, One Night the Moon, explores the values of Roman Catholics, the complex Aboriginal culture, and the identity of Albert Rose Jim. Perkins' father, Charles Perkins, Australian and Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander activist seeking for change in the treatment of Australian Aboriginal Torres Strait Islanders, is highlighted greatly in One Night the Moon. Not only do values and ideas shape the person we become, but also help us reflect upon ourselves. Indigenous Australian culture is something to be marvelled at, due to the deep connection to the land, complex system of laws and customs. Perkins' film notably explores the deep connection of the land and Indigenous cultural customs. The non-diegetic music of the didgeridoo present in Albert Stewart' The Land Is Mine is a culturally significant instrument to the Kakadu people. This communicates the rich history of the land on which Albert is standing on holds, challenging the average audience's basic knowledge of Indigenous culture. Additionally, Jim Ryan's lyric in the duet The Land Is Mine Campfires on the creek bed is an allusion to the Mudgeon couple of the Indigenous people. This gives insight to the audience of the rich and beautiful history of Jim's land, but also the history and common practice of campfires and Aboriginal culture, affirming the average Australian's knowledge of Aboriginal people. Finally, the eagle is flying over the vast desert land in the tracking shot represents the Indigenous people's ties to the land. The Aboriginal documentary First Footprints explains that. The eagles were deliberately placed and framed to emphasize the cultural ties to the landscape. This demonstrates Albert's ability to identify Emily's whereabouts, demonstrating Albert's understanding of tracker knowledge and Perkins' knowledge of Indigenous people. This demonstrates Perkins' expertise in challenging the ignorance about Aboriginal culture held by a majority of Australians through her filmmaking. Therefore, Rachel Perkins' film effectively showcases the deep connection of Indigenous Australian culture to the land through the use of culturally significant symbols and allusions, challenging the average audience's limited knowledge while also affirming and promoting the greater understanding of Indigenous culture. Roman Catholic values emphasize the importance of love, dignity, rights, fairness, family, and work. Parrot significantly emphasizes the practices of Roman Catholic values within the Ryan family, particularly with regards to Jim and Rose. The priest's voiceover employs irony with the phrase, "We are united," which contradicts the previous scene in which Rose urges Emily to avoid greeting Albert's mob. This contrast generates tension between Jim's character and the audience, challenging both Jim's cultural values and the priest's words. Furthermore, the lyrical line, "This land is mine," expresses Jim's attitude and demeanour for the rights and ownerships of his land, refusing to acknowledge the traditional customs of the land. This affirms to the audience Jim's culture and value of rights. Moreover, the almost Dutch tilt of the camera of Jim, Rose, Emily reveals that Jim may not value family as much as Rose and Emily values family. This is presented by Emily and Rose sharing the bed whilst Jim somberly awaits by the bedside. This affirms the value of family to Rose and Emily but challenges Jim's values of family. Roman Catholic values portrayed in the Ryan family, affirming values, rights, and family whilst also challenging others' families and fairness. Experience, values, and beliefs shape an individual and their perception of who they are. Jim's unbearable grief taking a hold of him, Albert's deep connection with the land and who he is, and Rose abandoning her comfort. To begin with, the biblical allusion of Jim killing himself anymore as a result of the grief and guilt is a biblical allusion to Judas in the Bible, who hung himself because of the grief and guilt after Jesus was crucified. Both Jim and Judas let their grief and guilt shape them as a human being. This deepens the audience connection with Jim. Next, in the song The Land Is Mine, the repetition of the lyric The Land Is Me.
This land is me, this land owns me, this land owns me, this land is me.
Forces who Albert is. By Albert saying he is the land, he highlights the stern yet beautiful, while sinister but calm nature that the definition of the land is, and shapes him as an individual. To finish with, the motif of liminal space for Rose, the veranda. The veranda is seen throughout the musical as Rose's retreatment place, away from all the stress. The audience see Rose as an anxiety-filled stay-at-home wife. When Rose goes to Albert to seek for help, the audience sees an empty chair on the veranda, representing she is going outside of her comfort zone, exploring a new experience and shaping her as an individual. Experience, values, and beliefs shape an individual's perceptions of themselves, as seen through the characters of Jim, Albert, and Rose, who are shaping by their grief, connection to the land, and willingness to step outside of their comfort zone. Today's culture is still grappling with a wide range of emotions, values, and ideas. The controversies and concerns around the voice referendum highlights the lack of knowledge of Indigenous culture. The cultural values of the Irish Civil War refugees who were forced to flee have left an indelible mark on their families. Furthermore, the fear of moving outside of one's comfort zone might have a substantial impact on one's work life. One Night the Moon attentively examines all of these contemporary challenges. In conclusion, Rachel Perkins' film, One Night the Moon, effectively challenges the limited knowledge and understanding of Aboriginal culture held by a majority of Australians, showcasing the deep connection of Indigenous Australian culture to the land through the use of culturally significant symbols and allusions. The portrayal of the Roman Catholic values in the Ryan family both affirms and challenges values such as rights, family, and fairness. Ultimately, the experience, values, and beliefs of the characters shape their perspective of themselves, highlighting the power of personal growth and transformation. Overall, One Night the Moon is a powerful and thought-provoking film that invites the viewers to reflect on their own beliefs and attitudes towards culture and identity.